This is a video about a recent purchase of mine, a Microtech UTX-70 DE. Now, as a lot of you all probably know, the UTX-70 stands for the knife being 70% the size of a Microtech Ultratech. And frankly, I really like the size a great deal. First of all, I really like smaller knives. You know, even though I have some knives that are pretty big, I really like small knives because in everyday life, that's what that's most useful to me. And you know, the kind of thing that I can most likely be able to use without freaking people out. Now, the Ultratech, excuse me, not Ultratech, but the UTX-70, as you can see, the overall length of it is just a smidge under 6 inches. And the blade itself, let me get on here good. I'm kind of awkward here today. There we go. If we look at the blade, I'll pull it back just a little bit. There we go. If we look at the blade, I'll get this lined up sooner or later. Here we go. It's about, if I can get this thing out here, I'd say it looks like it's about 2 3/8 inches long. And the overall length, I say, is just a little bit under 6 inches. Now, I have this Dragonfly over here for comparison. Now, the Dragonfly, if you look at its blade, you know, the actual blade itself, the whole blade itself is probably about 2 1/4 inches. The cutting edge on it is about 1. Let me slide this up a little bit so you can see it better. Is about 1 3/4. And so, one thing to note about the about the UTX-70, is that it's small, but it's not California legal. Now, I don't live in California, so that's not really an issue for me. But I have seen videos of UTX-70s that have California length blades on them. Although I guess if it has a California length blade, it's not really a UTX-70 anymore. It's probably like a UTX-65 or something. but they haven't rebranded it. Now, this particular UTX has an Elmax blade. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Probably not. Oh yeah, there we go, Elmax. And you can see UTX-70 DE. Now, this is actually the first double-edged knife I've ever owned in my life, and I've collected pocket knives for 53 years. I mean, I'm 58, but you know, my dad got me my first one when I was 5 years old, and I have managed to collect pocket knives, you know, most of my life. You know, almost my entire life, 53 out of 58 years, and this is the first double-edged knife I've ever had. Now, part of that is due to the fact that I've always been concerned about issues of legality. Now, according to that little blade app that I have, double edges are actually legal in Illinois. You know, Illinois actually has pretty loose knife laws. I mean, technically, you can carry any length knife as long as you vouch that it's not a weapon. Now, frankly, that's what the law says, but I wouldn't recommend carrying just any and everything. I mean, because it always depends on the officer. I mean, if the officer interprets it as a weapon, then you can be in trouble no matter what. However, in the case of this small out front, I think it actually makes a really nice letter opener. It makes a nice package opener. I mean, I'm surprised at the utility of a double-edged blade. Now, like I said before, it's made out of Elmax, and some people don't like Elmax, but I've had good experience with Elmax. It's a knife. It's a steel that I think responds well to sharpening over time. Uh, the more you sharpen it, the sharper it gets over time. And so I like Elmax. I like Elmax. My experience with Elmax has been very positive. And also, it's a very light knife. I have pretty big hands, but as you can see, it's kind of small in my hands. Now, the one thing I will say about double-edged blade, though, even on a tiny knife like this, that double-edged blade is pretty formidable looking. I would not want to get poked with this. Lord knows I don't want to go around trying to be some tough guy, looking for self-defense situations. But, if heaven forbid something did happen, this could do considerable damage. I would not want to be on the wrong end of it. But having said that, I think only an idiot would go around looking for trouble with this. In this day and age, pulling out a double-edged switchblade is probably a good way to get shot to death. And I recommend to anybody that, avoiding trouble is worth more than trying to fight your way out of trouble. Especially as you get older. For a person my age, the last thing I need to do is get in a fight, because I probably would end up breaking the hand or something like that. And so, I'm kind of going off the rails here talking about that, but I do think it's important to kind of keep, the self-defense thing in perspective. Obviously, knives do have the potential to be used as weapons, but I just think the smartest thing anybody can do is to avoid being in that situation. But having said that, I really, although I kind of went into a kind of a diatribe a bit about weapons, I actually think this is a pretty useful little knife. Much more so than I thought. And, for the kind of nonviolent things I'm doing, like opening packages, or even, for that matter, like you get bananas that may be a little bit green at the end, you get a little slice at the end so you can peel it much more easily. It's just a really useful little thing. I enjoy this. And so, it's not a heavy duty knife. I don't really think any out the front is heavy duty, because they always have a little bit of a wiggle waggle. But this one is better than most. It doesn't move that much, but it has a little bit of wiggle, which kind of goes with the nature of double action OTFs. But for light use, for the kind of stuff that I do day in and day out, I think it's quite a nice little knife. It's not cheap, but if you happen to be a person who likes knives, and if you live in a place where it's legal to have an auto, this is not a bad choice. I would recommend it to anybody. And so that's my UTX-70, and open it up again. Double edge with Elmax steel blade. Thanks for your time.